Good evening, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is David Okon. I'm in the UK talking about work and pay in the United Kingdom. And if you watch this video, watch with the rest of the other video preceding this video. And this is the video I'm producing in connection with the other issues I've raised in the previous videos, including issues to do with income maximization, and also the broader points about the economic system, the political system, the policy, and all the other issues in our society. And also I have looked at development and culture as a pointer to how we should lead a life in this earth for peace. And so the core of this program is actually the case for peace. And if you know anything about peace, if you don't know anything about peace, leave a comment below. Thank you everybody, very much everybody who have been helping this material, watching them, supporting the channel, and leave a comment below. Click the notification bell, and if you watch the video, watch and share with family and friends, and so that nobody misses out. Whether you like the video, whether you don't like it, somebody out there is liking the video. We are small, we are work in progress, and the feedback points to progress, because positive feedback valuing this material is really important, especially for a small channel like this. We are going to talk about certain specifics, and like I have commented in the other videos, these materials are extremely important, so everybody needs to really learn a thing or two about it. If you like to learn, if you like knowledge, whether you don't like to learn, whether you don't like knowledge, sooner or later everybody will have to have knowledge, because this is kind of information is normally interpreted and used by professionals, professional advisors, lawyers, legal advisors, policy advisors. But because of the changes in our political landscape, and also the environment now pertaining to changes to do with capitalism, privatization, and also the system of the market, where small and medium businesses are closing down, public sector is closing down, there is no funding for services as normal. So I would urge people to empower themselves, learn about employment, learn about every topic. If you watch this video, watch for the rest of the video if you have the time. Thank you so much everybody who have been helping. We are today going to talk about employers who fail to pay national minimum wage. There are laws governing employers, and also the system of national minimum wage. If you know something about national minimum wage, and also national living wage in the UK or in your country, leave a comment below, let me know, because what happened in the United Kingdom necessarily happens in other countries because of globalization, because of harmonization. Countries cooperate with other countries, especially in the developed world, especially in Europe and America, the Western world, and also increasingly the developed world. And there is the harmonizing, the creating of what is to be the global village. If you know anything about globalization, leave a comment below, let me know. So important that young people in particular, because they are the ones who will inherit most of the things I'm talking about. Most of the things I'm talking about will make more sense in about 10 years, 50 years, 100 years. But it's beginning to happen now. People are losing their jobs to machines. Technology is on the increase. I have mentioned this in the other videos. I'll leave a comment below and give me a feedback. And things will be changing. The private sector is closed, so it is not going to open again. Once a government does something, they're not going to change it. The Labour Party just came to power recently. They may be improving certain things for the majority of the population, but there is the direction of travel globally, including in Britain. And the Labour Party will not change the fundamentals. They may improve things here and there. Let us wait and see. But let us be really modest in terms of our expectation, because things are really changing very rapidly. And more and more wealth is going to be concentrated in the hands of the few, and this wealth are going to be taken away from the hand of the many. You and I, the normal people who are not multi-millionaires or multi-billionaires. If you're multi-billionaires or multi-billionaires, okay, for now. But you see, if we practice human wrong, even the people who now are multi-millionaires, in terms of development, in terms of the economy, people who are now multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires, who think they are okay, in the end, because the society is being built using violence, using, wrong things. The foundation is rotten. Is bad things are being done, and if we continue on this trajectory, then going forward we're going to get into trouble as a species, as a human. This is this is a philosophical outlook which is extremely important, especially young people. We who are maybe, if you are out there, you are the middle class, you have access to credit. You buy your household things on credit. You buy your cars, brand new cars, your furniture in the house. You buy even a house on mortgage. I've explained this type of credit. You may be blinded about poverty. You may feel even rich. A lot of people, even people who are on benefit, used to get so many different types of benefit. They used to live in a 5-bedroom, huge property, and they thought it was going to last forever. Now, things are changing. The public sector is closing down. Small and medium businesses are closing down. Banks, even big corporations will close down. In the future, in the distant future, beginning now, more and more of the economy will be shutting down, leaving only a few for the few. If you have money, because you see, the thing is about money. If money is only concentrated in the hand of maybe 5 or 2% of the population, in maybe 50 years, 100 years, less and less people will have money. If you don't have money, you're going to die. Or you're probably going to be changed into a certain creature or machine, or a mixture of machine and human. You will not be human. Humans need money. In the modern age, you need money to survive. And money is going to go out because everything will shut down. Technology potentially will take over to manage and also run society in terms of wealth. Perhaps also, who knows, they may reach a new masters tomorrow, because we are introducing artificial intelligence into the machine. We don't know what that is going to do. You may meet a real robot on the street thinking they are humans because of nanotechnology and all these other technology features I've been mentioning. There are technologies which will be able to produce flesh probably, and you will see real flesh and blood on a human being, on a creature created artificially through artificial intelligence, artificial material, synthetic material. They will bleed, they will have flesh, real flesh. If scientists, and inventors and technicians can get their way. For example, if they build synthetic DNA, synthetic DNA can produce synthetic cell. And synthetic cell can potentially build tissues which are synthesized. They are not natural. And cells can build organs. Organs can build. Cells can build tissues. Tissues can build organs. Organs build bodies. In that order. So, human which have been produced, artificially, synthetically, will look exactly like human being. You will not notice the difference. You can even eat meat which is synthetic, which is not natural. This is graphic, but there are evidence now emerging, which evidence I don't have, but because they are scattered all over the place, these things are hidden. They are there. You can do research and begin to synthesize, to put together materials to project, to try to figure out what the future is going to look like. And this is for real. And this may also point to the end of the beginning of the human species as I understand it. We will see machines which are produced, in the case of humans, things which are produced looking like human, feeling like human. You can't tell the difference, but they may lack morality. If we are lucky, they may have some moral standard. They may even be proper humans who can live peacefully. We don't know this. So going forward, let us keep an eye on technology. If you're a young person, take an eye. I mean, take responsibility. You can stay on the street. You can stop going to school if you are legally free to leave schooling, because in some circumstances children are obligated by law to be in school if you're below 16. If you're over 16, you can do what you want now. You can stop going to school, but there are consequences. If you are 18, you are an adult. Then you will have to face the world. Your parents may not be there. If they are there, your parents can kick you out of the house. Most parents don't do. But increasingly now, it's a reality. There are parents who are fed up of their children. They're kicking children out of school, of home. And by law, they are allowed to kick out their children. Because children don't pay rent. They have no rights in the home. Parents have no obligation. The state takes responsibility of adults or of children. And these children can be taken into care if they're still young. And if you're already old, I don't know what they're going to do. If you're 16, they probably end up on the street. Because the government doesn't have money and it doesn't have time to waste on 16-year-old. If you're 15, maybe not. Because if you are walking on the street and you are 14, you are 13, nobody might even notice. And your children will be on the street. Even if they are underage, nobody will care about it. Because there's no resources. And that's what I'm trying to say. So when I chose to talk about money being paid to people who need money, I have income on my mind. I already talk about other financial sources. I mean, income sources like benefit, which is, if you live in the UK, you know. If you don't live in the UK, you can probably leave a comment below if you want to know anything about benefit. And if you're interested, if you have the time, you can watch my videos. It's like the title of the video, the sets of the videos, financial help in the United Kingdom. That is how the title appears on my other videos. If you're interested, and that is actually one of the primary sources of income in the United Kingdom. The key source of income is work. Pay. I'm talking about pay now. I'm actually looking at material involving employers who are not really keen on paying their workers properly. They don't want to pay a minimum wage. They do all sorts of tricks because the system is so complex and the government is reluctant to enforce the law. They don't have the resources to enforce any law. Whatever law the government does is almost always impossible in terms of immigration, in terms of work, housing. It is almost impossible to enforce any policy without funding. You set laws, you set policies in parliament, within the departments, you develop policies. It cannot be implemented because there is no money. The public sector has closed down. The best way to close down an economy, to stop funding it, what society, including government, are thinking about now is private businesses, especially big corporations. Big corporation, I've been repeating these points. I will be repeating them over and over. Big corporation, private businesses are there to make profit. If there is no money in the hands of individuals, they cease to be customers. Only customers are allowed to access any resources, including healthcare, including housing, including food and energy. If you cannot access healthcare, you cannot access food, water, and shelter, you're going to die within a month. There will come a time when people will be taken into concentration camp globally, not just in the UK. That is when the government closes totally. Now there are still traces of government. There are still traces of services. People do not realize that these things are closing down because they still have food, they still have energy. You go to the supermarket, even if it is expensive, it is still there. There will be coming a time when you go to the supermarket, you find the supermarket is shut down. Everything will be online. And if you have money, you will buy food. If you don't, then if you don't die in the house, then the government maybe have a system of getting rid of you, of killing you. Either you die naturally or you have to be disposed of. And it's a sensible thing to do. Because you see, otherwise, what is going to happen? There will be people, I'm talking about 100, maybe 500 years to come. It's not happening tomorrow, so don't get me wrong. But the reason I'm mentioning these things, to make people realize it is happening now. You should support people to explain the anomalies going on now in our society. Why are things happening the way they are happening? So this kind of discussion, if you call this discussion, that is fine. This kind of comments I'm making is to hopefully make people realize, the risk involved when the public sector is closing down, and therefore he will hopefully prefer, especially the young people, to take responsibility for themselves. It's about survival. The market is a jungle, and that's what we are now producing. We love privatization. We love the government saying things like, we are giving back your country. It makes us good, feel good. But you cannot be giving back country if you don't have money. Giving back country means giving back country to people who can buy it. Because when the government say, we are going to give back your country so that you control it, it's talk about privatization. When the government, privatization may sound really cool, but it means selling off the country, selling everything, even your teeth, your nose, your eyes will be sold off if you are not careful. Selling of literally things and people if necessary. There is an increase now in human trafficking. That is a form of slavery. It's coming back. And the previous conservative government, which was defeated a few days ago, I think probably coming to a week probably, was planning, even had won the election, was planning to force young people to do national service. So it's like direct slave labor. And the language they use is so false, you don't even know it is slavery. There are people being sent to do apprentices. The government should send young people for training and pay them fully if they do work. Apprenticeship is a form of slavery. Low pay, like found in the minimum wage, is a form of slavery. Slavery means you work for no pay. Because if the pay is low, then low enough to keep you in poverty as a worker, that is the definition of slavery. The law may fail to define it that way, but it doesn't take a super brain to put 2 and 2 together to know that is a form of slavery. Because if you work and work keep you in poverty perpetually without any leeway, you are trapped in poverty. And if you are a technocrat, maybe you are earning 30,000, 40,000, the credit system will lure you into borrowing. You borrow money, you're in trouble. You're working for nothing. Your money goes piecemeal to the super rich, because that's what the credit system is. They use banks. That's why they don't want borrowing. They don't want the government to borrow, because they want you instead of the government. Because the government, if it borrows, it might not pay. But you will have to pay. If not, then you're going to be in prison. The bailiffs. I spoke about the bailiffs. Going forward, I might talk about that. Then you will know something about the bailiff. If you go to gov.uk, which is a government website in the United Kingdom, read about that. And you see how dangerous borrowing money is. It's the credit system which wasn't necessary. It's not necessary. The world is enough. There is enough wealth to go around. Technology is producing wealth which is being destroyed deliberately by the super rich, because they have turned wealth into a weapon of mass destruction to control society, to control people, to be in power. Power makes them drunk and insane, and that is an obsession. They don't want wealth, they want power, so that they brutalize people. They are cruel. People in power are so cruel because they are so evil. The evil comes because of cultural failure. They do not know the value of humanity. They do not even care about themselves. If you see rich people, you think they are from the street. They don't even feed themselves well. They neglect. I don't think they even bathe properly because they're so rich. The only thing they're like slaves. The only thing they think of is money. How they are going to look after their money. Some of them work like dogs. They don't rest. No peace for the wicked. And this type of greed for power has led multimillionaires and multi-billionaires to get more and more and more, because the way they get wealth is not right. And they are so scared. They are looking. They are running. Even if no one is looking, even if no one is chasing them, they just run. They are so afraid. They are surrounded by bodyguards. They live like prisoners. That is the society we've created. Look at American president. They are prisoners. Look at multimillionaires, multi-billionaires, celebrities. They are prisoners. They don't have a life. You see, they are in prison. And sometimes you forget your troubles. But, you know, whether you are rich or poor, you are a slave. If you don't revisit your cultural economy, respecting yourself, respecting other people, and looking after yourself, stay tuned, continue watching. Thank you so much. So let us now specifically look at naming employers who do not pay the minimum wage. So from the 1st of January 2011, the names of employers who do not pay the minimum wage will, in some circumstances, be published. It's name and shame. The naming scheme is intended to be used by the prospective workers so that they can choose whether or not to work for an employer, and for other businesses to choose which businesses they work with. Stay tuned, continue watching. Thank you so much. However, there will not be a register of those employers named or of those who do not pay the minimum wage. Leave a comment below. Let me know your thought about this policy. Instead, the names will be published in the Department for Business, Innovation and Skills, BIS press release. This is a very difficult space to find, and also leave a comment below if you think, you know, government department is easy to deal with, because they are also shutting down. Government department are shutting down because of bureaucracy, and most importantly, they are not funded. So this is a temporary measure. They are going to shut down. The government department will be irrelevant. You may phone a government department, and it can take 2 hours, 3 hours just for somebody to answer the phone, because there is nobody. It will go from machine to machine to machine to machine. You may be shocked after 10 minutes waiting, being transferred from one machine to the next, to the next, to the next. I mean voice machine, voice messages. From one voice message to the next voice message to the next voice message, 30 minutes, and the phone will ring back to you. And you'll be speaking to the machine. And you may be speaking to one person, and they will connect you again. It will go back. And you can take 2 hours without speaking to anybody, without dealing with the issue. You just want information. I'm not saying that is what is happening, but in every circumstances, but it is happening. The tax office and the government office, His Majesty Revenue and Customs Office, and it is happening. It has happened to me. It is happening to so many people. It's happening almost everywhere. In the hospital, you phone a GP because there is no money. You see, there's no money, so you speak to the machine. The machine doesn't know what they are talking about because if you ask for something, even, you know, there's a chat line. There's a chat line. If you ask something specific on the chat line, because they're already pre-programmed to answer questions in specific ways. They don't even understand what you're asking. If you ask certain things, they don't know. And that is what is happening as a reality to very many people. People are frustrated with the system. They don't know where to go. You try to go and speak to a human advisor. You will not find them, because if you find them, they don't have the time, because they don't have the resources. I mean, for example, doing casework. Some casework can take 6 months. But these cases may involve money involving, you know, big organizations within the public sector or the private sector. And the system is rigged such that poor people who need help, who do not have money to access expert lawyers, don't get anything. It's a kind of like almost like a conspiracy to cut poor people, because money is power. You see, you cannot give power to people who could cause you trouble. So I would say probably there's a conspiracy to keep poor people poor. The definition of stability, economic stability, or even societal, political stability, is to keep the majority of the population deliberately poor. Because if they access poor, they go to, if they access wealth, they go to access power. So there's the politics of wealth. There's the politics of deschooling, which means they're shutting down the educational system. People who go to school are a menace. They are a problem because they have knowledge. They're closing down social media. The internet will be closed. For the many, it will only be left for the few who are supposed to have power. Because these things are not just happening in vain. It has to do with political power, economic power. It has to do with rule. Not many people can rule. It brings instability and chaos. So the system now being weaponized to run society is wealth. That's why wealth deliberately are prevented from the majority to access. Leave a comment below if you think that is the best way to bring peace. I think it is not. It's a false economy. People in power are misinformed, because I would say this, but I may be wrong. Because you see, the system is already mature. The only way to change the system for it to collapse, it is going to collapse. Maybe in 100 years, in 1,000 years, the system we have now, the system of rule, is going to collapse. Because what goes up can only come down. No, it has matured, it has peaked. As we are looking, they will try, the people in power will try to keep the system, because the system is their lifeline. It's our lifeline. But you see, the argument for sustainability is to only leave the few to have power. The many should be slaves. Masters are supposed to be few. That is the definition of social, political, and economic stability. And the argument for peace, in their opinion, which I believe it is not really to do with peace, it is to do with war and violence, and there is no peace for the wicked. We are in serious trouble because of rule, because of politics. I pray and hope that somebody, a genius, can heal the system. The system is set, and nobody is going to, it has to collapse. But if it collapses, if the system of capitalism, because it's the only system of rule left, there is no socialism. Don't waste your time on socialism. Don't waste your time on communism. The only political argument globally is capitalism. Whether you like capitalism, whether you love it, it's like cancer. If it is a bad thing, it is like cancer. If you try to kill it, it's going to kill you. So the people in rule are trying to keep the system, because the system has failed. System failed because people chose to rule one after another. That is the design. That is the power structure. The system of pyramid, the pyramid of power. Only the few, stability means the few are at the top and the many are at the bottom. But you see, the system is now almost out of control. The only way is to kind of like control it arbitrarily, by force. Democracy under this system does not exist, because it's a bad thing. Democracy is a bad thing, because if we implement democracy, the system is going to collapse. You see, somebody thought of democracy and they tried to implement it. It's not sustainable. Democracy is not sustainable at all. The only way to keep the system, at least maybe for the few, is to practice dictatorship. It's something called, civil bureaucracy. That is a form of dictatorship. The law, therefore, is the only lifeline left to run the system. The law is a system of brutality for the few and for the many. The few will die first, and then the many will die also. And if we are unlucky, some aliens are out there. They're going to come and just clear us. Because you see, the system of rule is as matured. It's not going to go anywhere. The only way to change the structure of rule, if any, because why should you rule over people? And that is the problem. Because people will always ask for freedom. I mean, somebody somewhere decided it's a good idea for a few individuals. They designed a political system, a system of rule. Otherwise, they designed a system of rule to say a few individuals should rule over the majority of people, a system of slavery. And it has succeeded, unfortunately. And the system is now going to take us with it, because it's a system of evil. It was the seed sown, it's fully grown. I mean, you don't cut a tree which has matured and hope to bring something new. The only way to change the system is to destroy it. If you destroy it, you destroy yourself. Your society will die with it. So the option left now is to live with the system, to hope that some genius will come and change the structure, so that people can learn culturally. People can learn their culture, that it is wrong fundamentally for somebody to rule over somebody else. We should be free. We should rule our life on our own lives. We should be free, and the current system of capitalism is not going to deliver that, because capitalism has failed because of cultural failure. If we are to try and maybe change the system and maybe cure it, then we need to access our cultural economy now. And once we access our cultural economy now, where we begin to respect ourselves, you don't rule over somebody. You respect. If you respect yourself, you look after yourself. You don't need to rule over anything. If you're going to rule over anything, you rule over animals. Now you find that there are campaigners on environment who treat trees, vegetables, even the cloud, the sun, the moon, as if they are masters. So there are campaigners, environmental campaigners, who are even they are transferring power to animals, to nature, so that nature can rule over humanity. It's a perversion of what society should be. Humans should rule over animals. So environmental protection are actually perverting the cause of justice, the cause of peace, by putting more value on trees, on water, on animals, animal rights, for example. We are actually ignoring human rights. Some environmentalists can literally kill a person in order to exercise their love for nature. And they are so completely oblivious. They don't really understand that nature is part of humanity. Like our humanity is part of nature. Actually, the priority of nature, actually humanity. Humans, because we are humans. See, let the trees, let the dogs, let the cats speak for themselves. We have to look after ourselves in order to survive. Other than failing to look after people, there are environmentalist complainers who do not want development in order to save nature. How about the people dying in Africa, in South America, in the United Kingdom? A lot of people are actually dying because of poverty. Poverty is resources are being hoarded. They are being prevented from people, the majority of the population accessing, because they want economic stability, they want political stability, because the doctrine, the philosophy is wrong, is false. We are keen. We set a system designed to want a group of human individuals ruling over the majority of the population. You are not supposed to rule over anybody. And that was the evil which produced the Nomadland system. It's a cultural failure. And therefore, the medicine for cultural, for social renewal is cultural regeneration. We need to revisit our culture. And the cure for our culture is changing the way we think about people. We are to value humanity first, above anything. That is the seed of curing society. A system where we rule over nature. We don't rule over people, we rule over nature. Nature is not supposed to rule over us. Dogs and cats should not rule over humans. There are dogs and cats which are now killing human children because we have now given them power. There are dogs and cats in families which are treated better than even human children. To the extent that humans now, dogs now think they are superior to humans. I mean, humans are supposed to be masters over dogs and cats. Or even cows, or donkeys, or horses. Now, we give human names to pets. And pets think they are humans. They think they're even superior. They want to rule over us. Some cats have been killing their masters. So we have allowed evil to take root in society. There are celebrities who buy designer clothing for their dogs. Annually, they probably spend millions of pounds on dog food, cat food, clothes, shoes, and glasses, maybe mobile phone also for their pets. And this is the madness, this is the insanity because of cultural failure. The multimillionaires and the multimillionaires should go to the hospital for cultural education. We are psychopaths. We are so out of our minds. We are completely bonkers. We are so insane. As societies, we need to really go back to basic. I've been saying this. I also promise I will be breaking away from conventional materials and really speak my mind freely, because I believe the cure for our society. You ask any politician, you see, it is a nightmare to be a politician now because the country is ungovernable. Not just in Britain, but globally. The system has failed because the philosophy was wrong from the start. It started with slavery. Kings and queens across the globe used to rule the world with an iron fist. They threatened to destroy humanity, even destroying themselves. In the opiate of barbarism. They did not find the medicine. Capitalism is doomed to fail. And if capitalism fails, we are finished. Because this is the only system of running society. We cannot run society without capitalism. And capitalism has already failed. You see, it's already dead. It's gone. If we are to raise capitalism from the dead, aside, if we are to raise capitalism from the dead, we need to really look after our culture. If the culture is still alive, we don't know if it is alive, but we believe because we are humans, we are the truth. If we are still there, our culture is still there. We just have to change the way we think. We think differently. We think humans. We think peace. We have to eradicate our mind. This is the cultural revolution we are talking about. I've been talking about, and I promise you I will be talking about this over and again. Thank you so much for the people who have put up or endured this type of material. And I'm so content that I've been able to share this thinking with the viewers. And we may be many, but we are not shy. We are here to stay. And leave a comment below. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't, and let me know your thoughts. If you watch this video, share with family and friends. And we are happy as far as this platform exists. If you are on the social media, Facebook, and all the other elements of domains media, make use of what you have when the time still exists. We are not doomsday sayers. We are optimistic because we believe in humanity and we believe in change, positive change. But we have to do the hard work, the dirty work for the next generation, for beginning with this generation. We need to revolutionize society by our thoughts, thinking about peace, thinking about humanity as a way of priority. If we do that, in my view, leave a comment below. I believe humanity will begin to regenerate culturally and begin to put humanity as a priority. And that is, in my opinion, the way to heal capitalism, which is the system now left. And it is said and done because it is so difficult to dismantle and change a social structure. But it is doable because, you see, we are the masters. We created it, so we can recreate it. We can, we can heal it because the disease was put there by us. System is not about humanity. We created a system which is diseased from the beginning, at the outset of society. When we created through theft, through violence, through deception, and through lunacy, through barbarism. These features are still there. People are killing themselves on the street. There is war in Iraq and Iran and Gaza. There is Russia fighting Ukraine. There are wars in Africa. There are violence in countries like Kenya and other parts of the world. Nature is also not content to support peace, and as it is, there's no peace for the wicked. But there is optimism. I speak because of optimism. Stay tuned, continue watching. Thank you so much. So let us
Some see the original, mighty the god, the magical radical. Hey, representing my magical. Young Jose come million. Wacha, that defta. You not teach me can you let me go pa. That wacha, you need damage when you can you let me go wacha. That defta, you not teach me can you let me go pa. That defta, you need damage when you can you. Come to the camera, there. Come on, there we are there for the bed. We have a day, you're my baby. Every day I call you, my joy, you're my treasure. Baby, got no machina, yo. Baby, quackano, when it's over to Kora. Baby, got the machina. Baby, got no quara. You are said bandana. You must say over, you must say bandana. Baby, got no.
So let us go back to this material. We will be looking under the scheme of national minimum wage. the His Majesty Revenue and Customs (HMRC) will refer a case to Department for Business, Innovation and Skills, where he issues a notice of underpayment, and the case meets criteria, certain criteria, such as the employer knowingly or deliberately failing to comply with the national minimum wage obligation. Stay tuned, continue watching, and leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts about this policy. So the employer then has 28 days to make a presentation to the Department of Business and Innovation and Skills against being named. We talk about naming and shaming employer who misbehave, avoiding paying their employer. And if you look through the other material, you see how complex the policy is. And if you are not a detective or even maybe a specialist advisor on employment law, you may not even detect that employee are being abused by their employer, and there is a reluctance of the government to regulate private companies. But the reality about these problems is really underfunding or also failure of funding. In essence, leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Having considered any representations, Department for Business and Innovation and Skills will decide whether to name the employer. And this is the process. This is the information when deciding whether to name an employer. The Department of Business Innovation and Skills will consider, among other things, whether the employer knowingly or deliberately failed to comply with its national minimum wage obligation. Easy said and done. Implementing this kind of policy is going to be next to impossible without government resources to the respective departments, government department, and also the political attitude where governments generally are reluctant to put pressure on private companies because they're the ones now almost exclusively responsible for economic development and also the running of the country. So also in a situation where an employer has failed to take adequate steps to keep or preserve a national minimum wage record, we have discussed this, the obligation to keep national minimum wage records for respective employers. Leave a comment below, let me know what you think, and also watch this video and the rest of the other videos and let me know your thoughts. And subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, subscription is free and it doesn't cost money. And if you have doubt about the subscription, leave a comment below. Let me know. We are a small program, but we are actually making progress. And bear with us in the times to come. Thank you so much. And also, if an employer also delayed or obstructed an NMW, which is actually National Minimum Wage Compliance Officer, in their duties, we also discussed about compliance officer for National Minimum Wage in the United Kingdom. Let us know your thoughts, and also neglected the pay arrears of the National Minimum Wage to workers following His Majesty Revenue and Customs Office, or otherwise a tax office intervention. So leave a comment below, let me know your thoughts. And now we have been discussing this, and I'm so glad we did. And let me know what you're thinking. Leave a comment below. And so we are looking at a situation involving the Department of Business in Innovation and Skills. In such a situation, will not name an employer if he thinks that there is a real risk of personal harm to an individual or family or their family. So we are bordering now what you may take it to be kind of like a breach, turning into maybe criminality because of violence. If you comment below, let me know what you think, how this system might or might not be able to be effective. So from the 1st of October 2023, there is a revised scheme which will apply to any employer being investigated by His Majesty Revenue and Customs and issued with a notice of underemployment on or after the 1st of October 2013. Further information about the revised scheme is available on the gov.uk website at www.gov.uk. This is the government website in the United Kingdom. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Continue watching. Let's look at some common problems with the national minimum wage as a project. So, employer increases the workers' hours but keeps the same amount of pay. Leave a comment below, let me know the situation pertaining when you are made to work more hours, but you work more hours. You're working, and the number of hours is increased by your employer, and they don't increase your pay accordingly. So, as to avoid paying the national minimum wages, leave a comment below, let me know what you think. So, an employer may realize that a worker will qualify for the national minimum wage and so increase the worker's weekly hours without increasing their pay. This means that the worker is getting paid the same for the week but is working more hours. Leave a comment below, let me know what you think about this situation. I think it is gross. I think this employer need help educating and also financial support for small and medium businesses, because they may be under pressure as well. But if you're a big corporation, a multi-million, multi-billion, multi-trillion organization, shame on you, because you should know better the amount of wealth you have, the outreach your organization. There is absolutely no reason to abuse people who work for you, and this is really wrong. It's gross. So an employer may try to increase the number of hours a worker works without the worker agreeing to the change in the contract of employment, in an effort to hide the extra hours the worker is working. This is a unilateral change to the worker's contract and is therefore a detriment. Let's look, you can actually find out more about changes to the worker's contract. We have talked about detriment as a concept of employment. Then you can watch the other video, also go online and find out what the meaning of detriment, because we have talked a lot about it. Employer reduces the number of hours the worker can work. If that happens, stay tuned, continue watching. An employer may reduce the workers' hours so that the employer can afford to pay them the national minimum wage for the hours they work. Like I said, commenting on this kind of strategy by employers in terms of avoiding paying the national minimum wage, which is statutorily obligating to the employer and the employee also necessarily, so that it is paid by law. And this is a situation where an employer may try to avoid it through hooks and crooks. So this may be detriment. This may be detrimental to the employer and to the employee rather, because although the worker is working shorter hours for the same money, they are contractually entitled to work more hours and should be paid the national minimum wage for all the hours they work. In other words, some employers may maintain the level of pay per hour, but reduce the hours of work arbitrarily, contrary to what the contract would have enabled, simply to avoid paying the national minimum wage. Because the one aspect the one fundamental source of cost to operating business is actually the labor costs. That's why more and more employers are now keen to recruit to employ, if I may say, technology. Computer, for example. Computer is now, in the United Kingdom, we probably only have 20% of admin work because it's done by computer. Increasingly now, the machine are taking away work from retail. Retail is the number one employer in the United Kingdom. The retail sector as an industry is the number one employer of number one employer in the United Kingdom, especially young people. And also banking, insurance, and all those are being now shut down in terms of employment, because machines are now automating processes. Go to the supermarket, cashiers are now being laid off because the machines are now the new cashier. the customer are now interfacing with the machine to become the new component of cashiering in the UK, and also the same with banking, insurance, and bus companies. All this now, I mean, imagine a situation in the United Kingdom where the trains, planes, buses are operated by the machine, artificial intelligence, like you see with Tesla, the vehicle now being not only driven, powered by electric, but it's going to be also autonomous. In the military, in the police, in the fire, and you probably will be seeing robotics. Robots are actually going to be physically and mentally more producing more dexterity physically and mentally, so that they operate almost more efficiently than human. You go on the street, you see the police officers on uniform, but they are robots. And this is the future of society. The changes in terms of the economy, like I have said, I'll be repeating this over. I'm so excited about this discussion. So unemployment reduce the workers' hours so that the employer can afford to pay them the national minimum wage for the hours they work. These may be detrimental because although the worker is working short hours for the same money, they are contractually entitled to work more hours and should be paid the national minimum wage for all the hours they work. Working fewer hours may affect, for example, their pension entitlement to seek holiday pay and their entitlement to working tax credit and child tax credit. I am talking about pay in the conventional sense as found in the national minimum wage, but also talking about work-related benefit, which is connected with the Department of Work and Pension locally, and also with the tax office, and perhaps locally and nationally as well. Both contribute to the basic income. At the start of this program, I'll mention to you about the validity of the validity of pay as in work, and also in terms of benefit related to work, benefit related to being out of work. If you work, you get benefit. If you don't work, you get benefit. For example, if you work or don't, you get pension. Pensioners, people who are on pension are still allowed to work, especially occupational pension. And also, a private pension, if you are registered for private pension, you can start receiving pension, continue to work. Even state pension, you can still get your state pension if you are of a pensionable age, and then you still continue to work. So pension and work, that's why the government, for reasons best known, have increased pension age. Increasing pension age means reducing the amount of pension. People who should be earning pension now are still waiting because the government changed the law so that it doesn't pay pension to people who are supposed to be paid pension. And that is what the government does. So now the government also changed the law on pension. You have to work for 10 years to get any pension again, and you don't get the same amount of state pension. That is another problem with pension, because you have to work for 35 years in the United Kingdom to earn the full amount of pension. That is one problem. Another problem is the level of pension. It has to be high enough to get pensions out of poverty. The system of benefit in the United Kingdom should be simplified. And state pension is non-means tested, as opposed to pension credit, which is also paid. If you don't get enough pension, state pension, you have to claim pension credit, which is means tested. I have explained the concept of means testing, and I expect viewers who are familiar with this channel to know. If you are not familiar, leave a comment below. I will explain specifics going forward, and I will also advise people interested to visit websites in the United Kingdom and in your country, because one way or the other, policy on taxation, on income, on employment will more or less be similar, because of what I said at the outset of this program about harmonization, about globalization. So stay tuned, continue watching, and we have come a long way under this program, and I'm so happy you came. been here for a while, and I'm going to stop talking to you and subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed, and leave a comment below. Watching this video, share with family and friends. I'm so grateful for everything you've done, and subscription is free, so you take seconds. It is not going to waste your time. Watching video is so important, and also clicking like, clicking notification bell, so that for every new video you actually can be alerted, so that you can access it, enjoy yourself, enjoy your life with or without this channel, with this material. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.
MVC record.